Hello, hello. I am here today with Maria Jordan, who is an intuitive coach helping women remember who they are. And I just love that. I'm so excited for this conversation about sensitivity and how they can become a superpower. So, hello, Maria.
Oh, hello. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's really great to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad you like that because I'm happy you're here. Would you like to start out telling us a bit about your sensitivity, the main thing for you and how it has shaped your life?
I was a very sensitive child,
Mm.
but I don't think I realized I was. And I think I had a lot of sensitivities that were more open to me as a child, but I shut them down because I
Yeah.
realized that it wasn't okay. So I could see things and feel things. And also, even as a child, I could always sense this cognitive dissonance in what people said
Oh, yeah.
and how they were. Even as a child, now I look back, I knew I used to think, what, something doesn't quite fit there. Anyway, I didn't realize I was sensitive till my 40s. So I got badly bullied as a child, and that turned me into a real people pleaser.
Mm.
And I would say I was quite shut off to my sensitivity, which really is around feeling. I kind of just get a sense, a knowing.
Yeah.
um, but I completely ignored it for a long time until a situation where I was required to trust in it, and it was
Yeah.
quite dramatic. It involved my daughter and me making some decisions which essentially we were told afterwards saved her life because she
Oh, yeah.
got poorly as a baby. So that's when I began to
Mm.
kind of wake up to it, I think.
Yeah. Yes. And life has a way of doing that. I think that, well, first, the shutting down of things, I hear that all the time, and I recognize that from myself. It's like we realize that it's just causing trouble. People look at us funny, or they get upset or weirded out. So we just find that it's easier to keep to ourselves, and then sometimes not even to ourselves, we can shut it down completely. But
Mm.
then I think life has this way of nudging us to find it again, and if we're not in a place where we're able to pick up on those subtle clues, I think we just keep getting it until it gets so big that we can't ignore it anymore. It
Yeah.
sounds like you've had a powerful experience of taking it back. Is that?
Yes, yeah, I would say so. And it was a gradual process. So
Mm.
I've always been sensitive. I've always been very sensitive to other people's emotions and
Yeah.
picking up on things. And what I didn't realize was the impact that was having on me because I had no energetic boundaries.
Yeah.
So if I was with somebody who was going through a really difficult time, I would just literally be like a sponge,
Yes.
kind of absorbing it all, and then I
Mm.
would feel terrible afterwards.
Yes.
So yeah, it wasn't until my 40s when my life really began to unravel quite spectacularly, that I really began to see that to get through it, I had to stop looking out there for all the answers.
Oh, yes. Yep. 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 Been there, done that.
Yeah, because what was out there was actually collapsing. It was literally just falling away.
Yeah.
So um, divorce, lost my home, major bereavements, 3 in a row.
Oh, yeah.
My girls leaving home, flying the nest.
That really
Oh,
is
yeah,
everything at once, isn't it?
it was. Yeah,
Ooh, I'm
yeah.
getting
So
chills.
it was just this sort of massive, massive loss.
Mm.
And as I say, throughout that, I began to really go inward, because that was the only place I had.
Yes, the only way left to go.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. And then it was a series of synchronicities, really, that put things in my path that really opened me up again.
Yeah.
And Reiki was one of those. And I came across it very randomly. So I couldn't even have told you what Reiki was. I'd heard of it.
Yeah.
If you'd have asked me, I'd have said it was probably a massage or something.
Yep.
But my brother was in the terminal stages of cancer, and I was looking for some possible complementary therapies that might help him at that time. And I was reading a page of all these different complementary therapies, and Reiki, this is going to sound it's not going to sound mad, but literally when I read it, I just got this physical hit in my solar plexus. It was a real, and I was like, oh, what
happened?
What is that? And I knew from that point on I had to learn Reiki, even though I didn't know what it was. And I did. Within about 2 months, I signed up and began to learn it. And that was the kind of beginning, really, of.
Yeah, I'm getting chills here, because I remember picking up a book about Reiki, and my hand started tingling, and I was like, oh, but what's with this book? And I was like, I put the book down, but my hands were still alive. So yeah, there's something to it. And I like you said that the synchronicities that popped up, because I find that even though life can seem like it's hard on us sometimes, bringing us all the drama and all the sorrow and all the grief that it takes for us to move forward sometimes. I like that as soon as we are just a little bit open or out of options, whichever comes first, there's also all the little clues that come in, like you say, seeing something, not even knowing what it is, and just getting that sense of, this, I got to have this in my life.
Yeah. And some really powerful lessons about trusting my intuition.
Yes.
So the first one was with my daughter as a baby, and I knew there was something wrong with her, but 3 health professionals told me she was fine.
Oh yes, and then you start questioning your sanity and what's wrong with me and why.
So anyway, I fortunately ignored them and just took her straight to the hospital, and she was treated and she was fine. So that was a kind of, okay,
it's hard to ignore after that, isn't it? That's really
that was really powerful, because that was like okay, I could so easily have ignored that.
Yes.
And had I not, goodness knows what the consequences would have been. But that really gave me the, I guess, the belief that I could trust myself. That was it. Trust has been a big thing.
Yeah.
And then I had a very different experience, probably about 10 years later, again, when life was unravelling. And this time it was with my mother. And it was a decision relating to her. And I ignored my intuition, which was screaming at me. And I did I went into logical mind.
As we're trained to do, yes.
And I put everything in place, and I was like, no, I've got all of this sorted. I've got all of the bases covered. Nothing could possibly go wrong. And it did. It went quite horribly wrong. And so that was a big, big lesson that I learned the hard way. That I needed to really listen.
So you got it both ways, didn't you?
I did.
You learned the benefits of listening, and you learned the heartache of not listening.
And Yeah. And it's interesting that it was my mother and my daughter.
Yes.
Yeah, so real kind of female line. But and from that point on, I was okay. I have to listen now. I cannot ignore when I get that intuition, when I get that inner knowing. You know, it's not an option to kind of ignore it anymore.
No, don't want to risk the consequences of not listening anymore.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a really powerful shift in the way you approach life and perceive life. So what opened up to you after you had decided, okay, this is real and this is me and this is something I have to deal with, in lack of a better term?
Yeah, I think once I understood that I was sensitive, and I said I didn't realize that till I was in my 40s, and up to that point I'd always made myself wrong.
Oh yes, yep.
Yeah, about everything, you know. So why am I so sensitive? Why can I not deal with this? Why can I not cope in this situation? I found a lot of life quite harsh. And I struggled with that. I thought it was me. There was something wrong with me. And so when I began to open up to it all again, it was this, it's not me. I just need to learn how to manage it and actually embrace it, because it's a real gift, and actually it's a strength and a power.
Yeah. I can feel my shoulders relaxing. I can feel the sense of relief. At least that's how I remembered it, gradual as well, but no longer being wrong. That's just too big, isn't it? And not being alone either, because there are others who actually understand what
absolutely
it is.
And I think that's where the synchronicities came in again, because the universe brought me people who showed me that actually there were others who were like that, who had these amazing gifts. And the more I got to spend time with them, the more it validated, actually, okay, this is a thing. I'm not making it up. I'm not.
No. And
I'm
as
not
you
imagining.
say, no, and it's not wrong. It's actually, as you say, it's a gift. It's a blessing. It's I like to call it a superpower, because it feels good when we get to that place that instead of beating ourselves up for being sensitive and having these other talents or abilities, we find a way to put them to work for us.
Yes.
So how is that in your work? Did that play a part in how you came to do what you're doing today?
Oh, it played a massive part. So I think, you know, throughout the whole unravelling in my 40s, it felt like I lost almost everything. Literally, it was like everything was stripped away. There was just me, and I had to start the rebuild from the inside. And again, I went through that process thinking that was just me. And I came to realize afterwards that actually it's something that lots of women go through, potentially lots of men as well, but I certainly spoke to lots of women. And so I began to really want to help other women through that process, which is what I do now. And I trained as a coach. The initial training that I did in coaching was quite masculine. And it didn't really fit with what I wanted to do. What I wanted was much more, I guess you'd call it spiritual, or really helping women to tap into their inner knowing. You know, it wasn't about me saying, right, this is what you need to do, this is how you should do it. It was about them really uncovering it for themselves, but me helping them to do that. And so I came across something called soul-based coaching, which was just the perfect fit, really. It's a much more intuitive, female, feminine I want to say feminine way of coaching, which
there's more
really,
to it than setting goals and making plans.
It's much more about really guiding that other person to tap into their so that's, and I could never have got to that without me having gone through that process.
I love how you say that, because I was actually considering if it would be too much to ask if you would, if you would do it over if it brought you to where you are, or if it's like, oh, those experiences I would rather have been without them, no matter how hard they were.
No, it's interesting because I look back on it all now as a gift.
Yeah.
When I went through it, it was, I'm not going to lie,
it was not so much a gift. No.
it was horrific. And the situation with my mum really pushed me, because I had such guilt afterwards around what had happened. And it took me a long time to forgive myself for that, for not listening.
Yeah.
But it took another 10 years after she passed in 2008. And in 2018, I was going through a situation, and I suddenly got the lesson. And I suddenly realized that whole thing that I'd been through with my mum was about me acknowledging that the person I needed to trust most was myself. Yeah. And up to that point, I hadn't got that lesson. No. But she gave that to me in that sort of situation that played out.
Yeah, what a blessing to be able to give that to your daughter, for her to become herself in a way.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't look back on any of it and wish it hadn't happened. It would have been nice to have done it in an easier way. Yep. But yeah. But the fact that I went through it, and I'm out of it a very different person to who I was. And I'm very grateful for that.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that, because I think that's the best thing we can hear when we are, in the beginning stages of realizing that, okay, I'm not broken, I might be sensitive. What is this thing? And how can I learn to live with it? Realizing that we're not alone, and that we're not broken, and that no matter how hard it looks while we're in it, it will turn out to be okay. We will be okay, and more than okay. So
and it is more than okay, because it's this sense of inner peace now that I never had before.
Oh yeah. That's priceless. There's nothing beats that. I thank you so much. That's such a powerful story, and I'm glad we got to share that here today. So to sort of round it out, what would you like to see in the world? Any change or any sort of movement you would like to see more of?
Gosh, I think it starts with our children, really. And I think it's about embracing their gifts, and as parents, not shutting them down.
Yes.
Which
imagine if we could save them 40 years before they get to be who they are.
Yeah. And kind of offering things that really encourage that, that would be amazing. And I think the more that we talk about these things, the more people become open to it, and the more they realize that actually there are other people. So I think it's just about getting the word out there as well, which is very much what you're doing.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that's a really good place to start. When we become okay with ourselves, it's easier for us to be okay with others. And if we can help our kids find that a little sooner than we did, we're on the right track, because then they can pass it on to their kids, hopefully, and in their work. And yeah, I like the future of that happening. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was so good. Do you
You're
have
most
anything? Do you have anything you would like to add or say, or because I think this is such a great place to leave this.
No, I don't think I do. I mean, it's just a quote that sort of and I can't remember it word for word, but it's an Elizabeth Gilbert quote where she talks about the universe hides these jewels inside of ourselves, and it's our job to kind of to find them through life. And I feel that's a really good metaphor for all of us. You know, we've all got these amazing things inside. It's just a question of us finding them and uncovering them.
I love that. Let's make life a treasure hunt, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you. And I will put your links in the podcast notes so people can find you and reach out to you if they're looking for an intuitive coach who really knows what big transformation is like, and the beauty we can turn it into when we remember who we are. So thank you for that. And I hope you have an amazing day. I'm so happy you were here to share your story.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a delight.
Thank you.